Pent-up consumer demand for travel has boosted industry players this year, but uncertainty in the Middle East could cast a shadow over international travel. Joining us right now to talk more about it is Glenn Fogel. He is Booking Holdings CEO. He's also a CNBC CEO Council member. And Glenn, welcome. I know you had very strong earnings that were better than the street had been expecting, but it's the forecast that you gave that caused some concern, the reason the stock's down by about 3.6%. People were worried about this idea that there was a slowdown in travel to Israel and worried that that could spread beyond just the Israel travel picture. What do things look like right now?
Well, thanks for having me, Becky. And you're right. Last night, we produced some really great numbers. We showed that we have new records in our room nights for the summer. We talked about our gross bookings, $40 billion worth for the quarter. That also new record. But sure, people are concerned about what the situation is in the Middle East. And we talked about last night that Israel, including inbound to Israel, it's only about 1% of our business. And if you look at the Middle East in a broader sense, and you throw in Egypt, throw in Turkey, and you're talking with inbound there too, that's about 7%. But this is something that we know. In the long run, people are going to want to always travel. So there can be, and all different things happen all over the world, but we know that people will return to travel as soon as that area gets better. Look, we saw this with the Ukrainian-Russian war, where we saw a big dip immediately when Russia invaded Ukraine, particularly not only in Ukraine and obviously Russia, but you had an issue with the Eastern European area backing off, but then coming back. And for October, we looked the week, October 7th, sure, there was a dip. But then we saw it start coming back. We talked about the end of October, things getting back to normal. So we talked October, 8% increase in year-over-year room nights. But if you take out Israel, then it's 9%. And we expect for the fourth quarter, we're expecting about 9% growth. So I'm very pleased with where we sit.
So you think it was an overreaction by the street and thinking that this was going to be a bigger hit to bookings than you've actually seen?
Well, I can't really interpret what people who are the investor community, what they're thinking, how much Israel, Middle East is impacting stuff. I'm saying just look at the numbers, look how we did, look what we're projecting forward, and think about the long run. And then I'd say, then consider us versus others, and that's how you make a valuation.
International has been such a bright spot. I mean, that's been the profitable travel for the airlines. It's been where so much of the profitability comes. What do you see on international travel right now writ large? Does this go beyond the Middle East in terms of concerns people might have about booking?
I don't think so. I mean, we see international growing very nicely. We're very happy to be back to where we were in 2019 in terms of international travel. And that's even with some parts of the world that are still not back to 2019 pre-COVID levels. Asia, nicely coming back, but we always have been talking about how it's been behind where the U.S. is and where Europe is. And people talked a little bit about China, for example, where the outbound traveler from China, the numbers are still well below where they were in 2019. So that's a tailwind for people in the travel business.
Yeah, most of your revenue comes from international travel, non-U.S. travel. What is it, something like 89%?
Well, it depends on how you want to count it. So I will say that, look, we're very global, which is great because there could be one area where there's a problem of the world, but other areas, there's still going to be a lot of travel. So we like to be that diversified.
So what are you seeing in terms of the U.S. consumer, how they're feeling at this point, Glenn? We've been trying really hard to figure out if the consumer is kind of running out of gas when it comes to their spending ability.
Yeah, and I listened to some of your guests talking about that. Look, we continue to see strong travel. We see this globally. And I understand that some people say, well, higher interest rates, maybe people aren't going to go out and buy that new car. Maybe they're not going to upgrade their kitchen, things like that. But the great thing about travel is people are always going to want to do that. And as people get wealthier, and that's a long-term trend, the world continues, GDP continues to increase, per capita GDP continues to increase, people want to travel more. So yeah, there can be some short-term volatility in some parts of the world. And yes, sometimes people may say, I'm going to pull back on some of my discretionary spend. But I think travel is going to be one of the last things people pull back on, particularly because they missed out on 3 years of travel due to the pandemic.
Glenn, we like to talk to people about AI and how they're implementing it in their companies. You actually are using AI in terms of trying to book better trips or help people anticipate what people would want to do on those trips, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we have a couple products already out in the market with people. We have a thing at Priceline.com called Penny, enables people right before they buy, they can go and ask all sorts of questions. One of the most popular ones is, can I bring my dog or not? And it's great to be able to answer them right there or not. We also have at our Booking.com company an AI trip planner that enables people to use chat AI to be able to figure out how they want to go, where they want to go. Both these use our information and they use large language models. So together we can create some great things. But more important, I think, in the short term is increasing productivity, efficiency. Our developers, our software developers using copilots to be able to code faster. Our customer service people being able to do their job much faster using all sorts of chat AI. All sorts of things that look really, really promising. But I will say it's still early. So I don't think we're going to see some of these great things next quarter. But I do think in the long run, these are going to be great things for our company.
Hey, I'm telling you, if I can ask right now if I can bring my pet with me, that is a very useful, immediate reaction, something I would be into.
It's really great because people ask that and they ask, like, we say yes. And then the question that I've seen come back is, but I have a really big dog. And our AI can actually go back and answer that. So it's a conversation just like you do with a human being.